So you're an artist, you're a band, you're a producer, you're a songwriter, and you're interested in pursuing music licensing, not maybe exclusively, but in addition to your current artist career. Okay, so for this presentation, I'm going to basically show you how you can do that and what considerations you really need to be considering before you get started. Okay, because music licensing is a separate animal from the music industry, from your artist industry, from selling music to fans, getting a fan base, touring, selling merchandise, and record deals, all that kind of stuff. The music licensing industry is completely separate. It has its own rules. It has its own strategies for how to succeed. But I do recommend you start thinking about getting involved with it, at least to add it onto your arsenal of your artist career. Why? Because successful artists look for any avenue of generating revenue that they possibly can. Okay, those are the artists that usually do the best, is because they always have their eyes open. They always look for opportunities to not only get paid for their music, which is beautiful, right? Music licensing definitely can do that for you, but also how do you get the most amount of exposure, right? Like right now, you're in that rat race of the social media game. You're trying to get fans, you're trying to get likes, subscribers, and it's just exhausting. And it feels like there's just a tsunami of a competition out there. There's, anybody and their grandma can now put up anything online. So the room is getting more crowded, the space is getting more crowded, and to try to get more exposure and more notoriety is getting tougher and tougher these days. Enter music licensing. This can be a way to get you massive exposure on an international level, literally. I mean, national is going to be great enough, but you could also get international fame as well, and notoriety from the placements that you get, okay? So let's go ahead and get started with this. How do you get started with both simultaneously? Well, it would help if I didn't give away the entire presentation at first. Okay, here we go. Two options, all right. Number one, you can use your artist band name, your artist name or your band name in the music licensing business if you want to. So if you want to also get started in music licensing, start submitting your guys' tracks or your personal solo tracks to a music library, you can just go under your artist name, your band name, whatever name you've been branding yourself as. That's one option. Or the other option is you just use an alias, or maybe you come up with a producer name. Okay, so my producer name is Nifty Trick. So with some libraries that I work with, I actually go with that name. Other libraries, it's just my actual name. And there's certain reasons why you may or may not want to use an alias or a separate name from what your fans know you as, right? So if you're, the cool band, maybe you want to use a different band name for the licensing business, and there could be many reasons. Let's talk about what those reasons could be. Why would we want to use your artist or your band name? What considerations would you decide that would be a good path for you? Okay. When you get big placements, let's say you get a theme placement, you get a big major placement in a blockbuster movie or a trailer or something big that gets a lot of eyeballs on it and a lot of media attention, your artist career is directly tied to it, right? Because it's now your band name or your producer name or whatever it is that got the placement. So there you go. You've got the press release already written. Your band name, your artist name, your name maybe as a singer-songwriter just landed this massive placement in this TV show or this commercial or whatever it is, right? That is instant publicity, okay? You can either do it yourself and push it, or you can hire a publicist to try to get more interviews and more interest out there. You can basically generate an instant buzz because your name has been tied to that placement, okay? You can also command bigger consideration fees from libraries if you have a bit of a buzz. Why is that? Well, when a library is thinking about adding an artist or a band to their roster, well, if you were, let's say, Imagine Dragons, and you were like, you know what, we want to start doing some music licensing, we want to go sign with this library, how interested is that library going to be in saying we have original, exclusive Imagine Dragons content for our clients to use? How lucrative and attractive is that to their clients that are putting out TV shows, movies, and commercials? So lucrative, it's so attractive, and it's very valuable. So how much money do you think they're going to put in the pocket of Imagine Dragons? As much as they possibly can without going broke, right? Now, you're not Imagine Dragons. I know that you are on your process to becoming, the big pop star, the rock star, the producer that you want to be. But if you have somewhat of a buzz and you have some sort of a following, that's still very valuable, right? Because then they can go show you off to all of their clients and say, hey, look who we just brought on board. Look what kind of music you can now get if you keep signing with us and keep using our music, right? So having a sort of knowable name, it doesn't have to be an international or nationally known name, but locally known, some sort of a buzz, you have something that's kind of going on behind the scenes that can get their interest, you can definitely command higher consideration fees. Those are those upfront fees that you get paid when you get exclusive licensing from a library. Now, this can be a con, could be a pro. If you're using your band name or artist name and you have, some a sizable fan base, like they can become aware that you're doing this, that you are submitting some music maybe that they haven't even heard to a music licensing catalog. So Could be good and bad. Some artists don't want their fans to know that they're also pursuing music licensing. They might be, I don't know, I guess embarrassed of it. I don't know. I would never be embarrassed of it. But I understand that if you want to sort of protect your brand to say, like, we only make music for our fans and we only want to release it for the public to consume, then maybe this is something you want to not do, because you don't want your fans and people that like your music to be confused or to wonder, like, why is there an album, or why I heard you got a placement over here, but I've never heard that song. What's going on there? So again, if you don't want to get into that mess and that situation where you're kind of blurring the lines a bit, then maybe you don't want to use your artist name. You want to go with the alias, and we'll talk more about that right now. So if you're using an alias or your producer name, you can basically keep your licensing catalog hidden from your fans, completely separate from the world of you going out and making your YouTube videos or your music videos and releasing your singles and your albums. Your fans can basically be completely in the dark on any of this stuff. They don't have to know that you're pursuing this to make some other income on the side, if you'd rather it be that way and you want to keep it nice and clean, okay? Some artists, they love telling their fans they're doing this. They're like, hey, look out for our music, because we're going to basically start getting into the TV film world, and you might hear some of our songs on your favorite TV shows. So I think it's more of a pro, but I understand that there can be both sides to that argument. So you make the decision that's best for you and your career, okay? And this is how you can easily separate your artist music, your band music, from your licensing music. You can basically now create two separate catalogs: the music that your fans know about and see and that you sell and promote or give away. And then you can have your licensing catalog that goes under a different name, completely separate, and nobody in the industry has to know about. Nobody that you sell to or that your fans, none of your fans have to even be aware that you do that. And this is a really good way mentally and emotionally, actually, to keep things clean, because your artist music, that's really probably where you want to put your heart and soul and make sure that that's like what your fans are going to want. And that could be a much more, you got to get into the details, the weeds of that. Licensing, it definitely needs to be high quality music, but you don't have to be essentially personally tied to that, because you're really doing that for two reasons. One, mostly for the income, right? Because you're just trying to get paid and make some money from your damn music, because that's what you've been trying to do all along. So that's one thing where, as long as it's licensable, as long as it's useful for the clients, you don't have to really get your heart so personally invested in this kind of music, okay? It's still really fun, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you just sit there and like, oh, this sucks. Still really enjoyable, still a beautiful process, but it's kind of a freeing thing to not be so perfectionist about it. You can kind of just like, I just need to make sure that it's licensable and workable for my clients, and make sure that I've nailed their needs. And then you can start seeing those placements and that income, okay? And then when it comes down to your artist music, that's when you collaborate with your bandmates, or you really make sure like, hey, no, we need to make sure that it's not just about it being licensable or usable, but we really need to say something. We need to like convey our personal feelings through this music. So it's a different process, right? And so with this approach, you can literally split it right down the middle, have two separate catalogs, have two separate sort of workflows that you have with that. Usually, if you're using an alias, though, or a new producer name, you're not going to command those higher consideration fees, because you're now just another new coming producer, right? You don't have if you just made up this name, there is no buzz about you. There is nobody that really knows about you yet, right? So you're probably not going to go commanding those high consideration fees. They're probably just going to put you on the bottom rung to get you started, get you into their catalog, okay? Now, some very important considerations that you should have before you decide which one of these paths you should go down, okay? Music licensing, the industry itself, will require that you transfer publishing and or copyrights over to the libraries that you sign with. That does not mean that you're getting robbed and that you're not going to make any money. You will still potentially make incredible, awesome money, because I do this. I sign over my publishing, I transfer my copyrights, right? I've made a video about this, and I'll reiterate it right now. If you as a band or as an artist are like, no, my publishing is mine, my copyrights are mine, I need to own all that, great. If you feel that they are going to be doing something for you, earning you income, getting you wherever you want to get to, getting you a deal, whatever it is that you eventually want to get to, then do not transfer them over, and you should not be transferring your artist music to the licensing business, right? Because you have other plans for that music. That's why you might want to think about creating that separate catalog that you can transfer the publishing interests over, that can transfer the copyrights over. You still earn your consideration fees, you still earn your sync fees, and you still earn your royalties. Again, it doesn't mean you don't make money, but this is how the business is set up, and it has to be this way so that libraries can instantly and quickly get your tracks placed. If they have to come back to you every single time somebody wants to use your track, hey, can you sign off on this? Hey, can we do this? This industry would not exist. It just wouldn't move fast enough. So this is all the process that libraries do to pre-clear all the music in their catalog, so their clients can just a la carte. It's like a buffet. I want this track, and this track. And they can take it because they've all signed over the interest from you, okay? That's where you might think that a lot of bands go, oh, we shouldn't be transferring that kind of stuff over. Okay, no problem. Then you definitely want to start an alias or a second catalog with a different name that you guys can start to participate in this business, okay? Many artists got their big break from TV placements. Okay, you might not be aware of this, but artists like Snow Patrol, The Fray, you know, they got the Grey's Anatomy placements many years ago. Imagine Dragons, maybe some of you guys didn't know, they got their track covered on Glee and The Voice, I think, and their song actually blew up because it was being covered there, and that's how they got their sort of big notoriety. Feist, Canadian singer that got an iPod commercial with Apple. The Lumineers, they had a show on Heart of Dixie, and then Christiana Perri, she had I think a cover, or if somebody played her song on what was it called? So You Think You Can Dance. I think it was Jar of Hearts, and then of course she got her big placements with the what were the vampire series? Twilight. She got all those placements, okay? So a lot of artists that you know about and you might be fans of are getting their big break from the TV film business. Now, they all obviously use their names, right? That's how you know who they are. So they basically tagged along with that buzz that they got from those placements, and now look where they are now. Okay, so these are major, major bands now. So be aware that that's what happens in this business, and that's what's really possible with the licensing business. And as I said in the beginning of this video, successful artists, the ones that actually succeed, they have to be looking in every direction in all ways for generating revenue, okay? And TV film music licensing is absolutely a pathway, and a very viable and realistic pathway to start generating revenue and exposure with your music. So I do encourage you, if you are an artist, you are a band, you are a DJ, you are a singer-songwriter, I don't care what you do, you make music. If you're not at least adding this onto your tool belt of pathways and revenue streams, you're completely missing out, completely, okay? It's literally wide open for you, okay? You do need to create licensable music, and you need to partner with the right libraries. There are a couple of things to make sure that you're not making mistakes and sending the wrong tracks to the wrong libraries and having your track sat on and wasting your time. I do have a free 5-day course. If you're not aware of it, the link is in the description box of this video. So I encourage you to enroll. Absolutely free. Throw your email in there, and I'm going to deliver to you every single day 5 videos that are going to show you how to get started in this business. In fact, if you want to watch all 5 of them at once, you can. Once the first video is done, you'll see an actual link on the bottom of it to go right to the second video, and so forth for all of them. So you can binge on them right now and get started immediately, okay? And this is not rocket science, okay? I know that like the licensing business seems kind of crazy and confusing and maybe obscure to you right now. I'm gonna make it so simple, crystal clear, very easy. Every producer, every artist, every songwriter should start getting involved in this business. I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that through my personal experience. I've been in this industry over 10 years, made a lot of mistakes, screwed a lot of things up, but now I figured out a couple of things about how to do it, okay? And it has been my full-time income for many years now. So I know now what works and what doesn't. So I can definitely steer you on that straight and narrow path to make sure that you do succeed. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and make sure you do subscribe. I put out really awesome, useful content like this every single week, so don't miss out. Click on that little bell to get those notifications when I go live, or be the first to watch these videos when I release them.